Okay, ganadong-ganado po ang ating buong kilusan dito sa Manila, buong Pilipinas at sa buong mundo. Meron ng early birds na dumating and this is of course just the first few seconds natin. So we're waiting for others to come in. At we'll also be reporting to you yung bilang ng mga hindi pa po nagpapadala ng addresses po. Tapos yung isang sa Japan, libo pala aabot yung ano, yung postal cost, ano. So this is the right time for us to digitalize yung libro ni Kaado and the other books, ano, i-digitalize natin and tamang-tama gusto naman ni Kaado ipasok sa international market through the e-books, ano. And so we'll be doing that and we'll be sending it free through the internet yung mga e-books na and there's a way to keep it secure and that is yung ating uh, early bird na pangalan ang magiging pin number pin or password niya. So so we'll work it out with Copper-D because we'll still be needing to do it in the months to come, no? Other books that we send out as rewards for early birds joining us. And so we already have more early birds joining us right now. I'd like to remind those whose name have been read out and included in the early birds na may 15 po na wala pang pinapadala na address nila. 15 out of around 47, I think. So malaki ng bilang ang napadala. And so please, we will try to read out the names. I don't know if Joshua has the time to do it now. Maybe later on, out the names who have won the book, but have not sent their postal addresses to the. Okay, so in the meantime, just say also may mga magagandang balitang darating po. We hope they finally realized there'll be more broadcast time for one of our colleagues. So baka maririnig na naman boses po maga ating mga kasama. Ito ba ang mga pangalan na wala pang address? Or you just look, can I read out the names? No, not yet, no? Yellow is delivered. Okay. Na-deliver na natin. Ang hindi pa natin-deliver, si Dan Malyari, Evelyn Aguhar, si Saida Reyes, si Kevin Bourbon, si Virgilio Herbacio Estadillo, si John Arseno, Hirashita Briones, siguro si Hirashita ang nasa Japan, no? So Lores Arnel Bernardino, Pepe Malonzo, Edgar Galeno, si Hirashita Briones yan, diba? Another Hirashita daw. Anyway, si Bernadette Ador. So those are the ones that we need addresses to, ano? So hintayin natin si itong Arnel Bernardino, Son Juan, Red Canillo, Manuel Perez. Okay? So if you hear your name read out just now, we don't have your address. Si Evelyn Aguhar ang nasa Japan. We'll find a way. We'll find a way to send it to you. Most probably digitalized. Okay, so we don't have an early bird program yet right now kasi hinihintay natin matapos ito. Dala po ng board na po. But we now have Dang Saida with us, Antonio Carlos, Willie Tang, Bernadette Ador, Dario Joselito, Zelda Galve is with us, Freddy Oredina, and Alfred Ang. Alfred Ang, salamat po. Si Alfred Ang ay tumutawa ng mga memes po, no? Napakaganda, ang linis ng gawa niya. So We thank him for one of the memes he made for our article. Okay, and Tasio Del Mar has joined us. Pablo Avellana, Fernando Musikerong Panday, long time no here. Maginoong Musikerong Panday po. Lawrence Halpin, good evening to you all. Okay, itong linggo, well, si Kaana does not have a new article yet, no, kasi sobrang busy sa mga administrative chores po niya, napakarami talaga. Kaya hindi din ganyan lakas ang dating sa Facebook ni Maestra Ana. Kasi Kaado, busy sa ibang mga bagay, but he has been editing our articles, so we thank Kaado for that. No? This Friday, may ano ka, Kaado, may press conference ka? Is that something you can discuss with us?
Yeah, that will be in Pasay with Manny Luna.
Yung press con nyo?
People are asking kung ano narang progress kaso against Antonio Trillanes. Si Manny Luna ang lawyer doon eh. So, alalayan natin ng konti.
Ilang mga kaso yan?
Hindi ko pa alam yung mga detalya. Bibigay pa sa akin yung brief.
Okay.
Kung nagkikigil ka.
Si Maestra Ana, ano naman ang ano yung madaming yung iba alam ko in preparation for the APCO, no? Yun ang isang uubos ng oras mo ngayon. Walang audio. Ask to unmute.
Okay.
Yun.
Okay. Ayan. Yung medyo na bibisi lang ng konti pagdating sa awards at saka tag nito, I'm also working on 2 research papers at the moment. So medyo mahirap yung topic ng 2 research paper. Pero still, I think basta by the end of this month, medyo maluwag na at mababalik ko ng aking Facebook time at saka yung aking articles, no? Pero this week, I have to write an article kasi my editor in ASEAN Post actually requested me to write something about Duterte as against money. So I will be writing an article about it. I think the regional people wants to know more about it. Region, I mean the ASEAN people.
Yeah. Well, parang hindi ko sinama sa Pacquiao, but maipapasok din natin when we have time later on, no? Among other, kasi may mga late-breaking developments, survey ng Pulse Asia, at yung feeling ko na sinisingit lang talaga si Isko. Akyat, inilalapit kay Sara para masabi,
viable.
Well, we'll discuss all that later. Ano
yes.
pa ba good starter natin? Well, we move on immediately to the first item. Yung isang heart-rending report at lumabas sa RHK 111 Philippine Defense Page. Yung isang C1 victim, ikakasal pala. Si 130 victim wanted to come home for wedding anniversary. Wedding anniversary. And yun, nandiyan po sa screen po ninyo yung sinalubong ng asawa, yung po. And so sabi ko nga, salamat sa donasyon ng Amerika at suporta ng mga amboys yan. Pinapahagingan ko talaga ang mga amboys, including the amboys in the military, na sobrang suporta sa Amerika at yung Mutual Defense Treaty, that we have become dependent on these supplies of equipment from America that are rotten. This year alone, of course, we already reported in our last broadcast na 15 na sa 10 taong nakaraan military aircraft accidents na galing sa mga donasyon ng Amerika. Yan po, 15. Ruffler pang nag-report yan. Pero this year, 4 na. Kasama itong C-130, 4 na. So 3 helicopters ang bumagsak. And so this is really bunga po ito ng our dependency on the US equipment that are all second-hand, all gastado na. Well, I don't know if you have anything more to say here, Maestro Ana and Kaado. For example, is Duterte ready to get out of this relationship? Finally, may article ka on BFA, hindi ba?
Yes, oo. At saka may research paper ako on BFA. Ang malinaw naman po ang posisyon ko sa BFA. Yung sinasabi ko nga lagi, ang sitwasyon natin ngayon, it's not anymore like Cold War. Ang Pilipinas po ay walang kaaway. Wala naman tayong kaaway actually na bansa. Ang China is not our enemy, it's our friend. Sa lahat ng relasyon, maging personal relationship man yan or bansa man yan or interstate relations, palagi po talagang may differences at sometimes hindi pagkakaunawaan, pero hindi ibig sabihin na hindi yun nare-resolve sa mabuting usapan. So I see the Philippines as a country na lahat naman ay kaibigan. So ang wala rin namang threat militarily sa bansa natin eh. So ang mas mag-focus tayo sa economic development at progress ng bansa, hindi dun sa militarization or anything for that matter. Though I would say na we have to modernize our AFP but on our own efforts and make it sure na yung mga binibili nating military equipments or materials man yan or kahit ano man yan dyan, brand new. At hawak natin, no? Hawak natin means alam natin yung mga binibili natin in terms of spare parts niyan, yung paano yung configuration niya, everything. Kasi para we can make it sure na ang security nasa atin. Yun lang naman lagi ang posisyon ko. But of course, at the end of the day, Mentong, hindi ako pro-BFA, anti-BFA ako. That's one thing clear.
Yeah, and I was going to say something, but before me, Kaado, you have any ideas on this?
Bibitawan mo naman ng mga Amerikano yan kung pwede pa yan.
Yung nga eh.
Tama.
Yeah, ang Amerikano po, bumibili sa Russia ng ilang klaseng helicopter ng Russian. Okay. For example, sa Afghanistan, they used the Russian helicopters kasi matibay, bagay na bagay sa terrain at environment. So we really should, and also this is the point I almost forgot, no? Na sinabi na ni National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon na hindi kaaway ang China. Sinabi niya malinaw yun. So the NSA is the one setting the priorities with the President kung ano talaga ang security threats natin. At malinaw, sinabi niya COVID-19 at yung NPA, CPP-NPA terrorism. Yun ang sinabi niya. So what is well, C-130 is a transport plane. Huey helicopters are also combat helicopters and so on. So those are appropriate. No? Yun lang. Mas marami atang napapatay na ngayon itong mga donasyon ng Amerika kaysa sa combat this lately. So, well, I've already expressed this before in our other broadcasts. Hindi ako palo doon sa acquisition ng submarines at the time, but maybe for familiarization, training, maybe we should have one. Yung mga ganyan, yung mga missiles, these are questions that are connected to this issue. But anyway, if you have anything to add, we'll move on. If you don't have
ang ko lang, may add ako dyan. Ang kasi dyan po, kapag halimbawa, we acquire those, like what you're telling us, Mentong, like mga missile or let us say submarines and all that. One repercussion kasi yan, it will also, to a certain extent, probability-wise, will also propel some kind of militarization in the region. Why? Because other countries as well in Southeast Asia will do the same. Kasi ganun talaga yan. So kapag sobrang modernize ka na tipong you acquire this kind of high profile na mga military armaments, other countries within our region would do the same. Kasi ganun talaga yan. You promote some kind of militarization doon sa region mo, which I don't see any how do you call that? Hindi yan yung priority natin eh. Ang priority natin at this time, especially now that we have the pandemic, we're trying to bounce back, is economic. And make it sure that everyone, every Filipino will be able to bounce back.
That's right.
Yun yung priority natin. Payamanin muna natin ang Pilipinas. Let's make our country economically strong, then everything will follow. Kasi ganun talaga yun.
Okay.
Economic is the center of everything.
That's right. Bagay na bagay, mag-segue tayo to economic issue. But it's also going to be controversial, but let me also say that I support this while we need it. Ano po ito? Ito po yung next image po natin. Ano? So, let me just shift the image. Okay. Ang mga POGOs, no, yung gambling operations, no, are eyeing to come back with a vengeance. Lalakas ulit, lumalakas ang interest nila ngayon na bumalik. And yung mga office space inquiries, yung mga nagtatanong, pwede ba kami umupa na naman ng 2,000 square meters, 1,000 square meters, ganyan. Ano? Kaya nabubuhay ang sector sa real estate din, ano. And of course, kung ito ay bumalik, libo-libo na naman. Tens of thousands of jobs will back. Of course, sasabihin ng mga iba lang, senadorang overacting. What about the security? Of course, but even yung mga problems that they bring in also add jobs. Bakit? Ano ba? Social problems, prostitution, and so on. Of course, prostitution is looked down upon, but that's a job for some people. And those who will control the prostitution, police, social welfare department workers, maladagdagan din. So that in itself creates more jobs, and which is what our people need now. We have 4.5 million employable. 4.5 million. Peace and order, actually, ang totoo dyan, hindi naman malaking problema. Pinapalaki ng media, pinapalaki ng mga senador, but again, that's more jobs for our policemen. It may sound cynical, Maestra Ana, but that's a reality. It really will add jobs. Si Cado seems to have lost signal, but so let's wait for him. But ayun, he's back. And so, Maestra, while nagme-merienda si Cado, dahil dinner time na, Maestra.
Opo. Sa akin po kasi, narinig ko si ating presidente dyan sa issue ng POGO ba yan? Diba?
Recently o ngayon? O
recently, I think last week, no? Kasi nanonood ako sa kanya sa lahat ng kanyang mga speeches at saka press briefing. Hindi ako nagpapalampas para alam ko talaga first hand. Tawag nito, ang sabi nga niya, pragmatic ang approach. The country, I mean, we have to face reality na we need finances. We need extra finances. Kasi nga, marami din tayong gasto. Ang pandemic kasi, hindi yan na-perceive, no? So, ang gasto sa pandemic, medyo, tawag nito, para siyang kung sa financial statement, hindi yan nandyan. Pumasok yan, so you need to adjust everything. So, sa laki ng gasto sa pandemic, kailangan natin ng extra source of money or income. POGO also generate revenue. So, pragmatic ang approach. So, ang ano lang naman dyan kasi, lahat naman ng bagay po sa mundong ito, may plus and minuses. Pero yung mga pluses, yun ang tignan natin, which is yung generation of revenue. Yung minuses, I think there are regulatory bodies naman at saka regulations para sa mga ganitong usapin na POGO or, this kind of activities or gaming yan eh. So, nandun naman sila to regulate and to check kung sumusunod sa batas, nagbabayad ba ng taxes yung mga yan? Or,
well, yan ang isang dahilan pala, Madam Ana and Kaado. The Senate last month approved on third reading Senate Bill 2232, which imposes 5% tax on the gross gaming revenue or receipts derived from their gaming operations, addressing the tax concerns on the industry. So, para sa POGO operator, malinaw na, 5%, ha? O sige, babayad sila. Kasi noon, 10%, 20%, kung ano ang gusto ng mga senador, kailangan kumita din sila. Kumita din
May
ang bayan. Sige, sige,
standardization yan eh. Ine-standardize na. I mean, let's be more pragmatic, no? And in the way we see things. Hindi puro yung tulad ni Ontiveros, ang daming issue about Pogo and blah blah blah, may undocumented Chinese and all that. Well, you are in government. Probably you should address that rather than making loud noise, no?
Yeah.
Kasi loud noise does not generate revenue, no? Yung mga noises.
Ang interest ni Hontiveros, ni Risa, malagay sa diaryo para manalo siya ulit sa eleksyon, para yung kanyang 100 million a month ay hindi mapuputol. Kasi sa senadora, I think it's more than 100 million. I'm just using, but it's not less than 100 million a month yan. Extra pa, 500 million, so many months and so on. Yan ang interest ng mga senador at senadora. Kaado, your wisdom on this matter.
Kaado.
Parang hindi narinig o nag-freeze naman.
Hindi, nag-freeze si Kaado.
Freeze na naman. Okay.
Pero ang ano ko lang bottom line dito po, we need money. Okay? And we need revenue. As long as these POGOs follow rules and regulations, follow the law, pay their taxes, and it's within the boundaries na mayroon tayo at ang regulatory agency natin ay nagpa-function, I think there's no question about that, no? I mean, the president's very pragmatic kasi we need to be pragmatic. If we want to survive, then let's be more pragmatic about these things. No?
Okay,
Ganun lang po.
Let's ask our audience what their opinion is on this matter, no? So we can read it out and do some addition and and let's get a straw vote on our viewers dito na Pogo coming back.
Miss Kado ba nag-freeze?
Ano?
Kado.
Nag-freeze yung signal niya siguro na we will wait. We have to wait. So let's move on. And of course, still the good news still coming in from Philippine-China cooperation, more equitable vaccine distribution, sabi ng as 1 million Sinovac jabs doses arrive, So itong araw mismo na publish araw ata dumating. Were delivered on Wednesday morning, July 14. This morning lang itong.
This morning po.
And corollary to that naman, ang Chinese issue nitong report that China will be providing 550 million more vaccines to the world. As the world is marching towards herd immunity, Sinopharm and Sinovac have reached advanced purchase agreements with the Global Alliance for Vaccines, yung WHO, Gavi, to provide as many as 550 million vaccines for the world through the COVAX process. So, talagang China lang. Humahabol yung iba, yung Russia, Himalaya, Sputnik B, and Sputnik Light to B. Kanina, I was talking to a Russian friend. There are only 5. They have 5 vaccines sa Russia. China has 77 vaccines. So, thank goodness na nandiyan ang China at ang mundo ay makikinabang po production capacity. Si Kaado is still frozen, So, Maestra, I'll get back to you.
Kailangan natin sabihan si Kado. Naka-freeze siya.
Parang nasa freezer. Kailangan ipasok sa microwave para matunaw. Anyway, you have any comments dito?
Mabuti, natutuwa ako na ang China mag-donate ng mga 550 million, no? 550 million doses of vaccine sa WHO COVAX. Kasi kailangan talaga ng mga developing countries, especially ng developing at least developed countries po. Kasi karamihan ng vaccine na sa mayayamang bansa eh. So, yun. Makikita natin yung China, the way they really want to respond to the challenge of the world. Challenges na kinaharap ng mundo. At yun nga, ay isang patunay na they're serious, no? That treating vaccine as a public good,
Yeah.
and they're showing it in terms not only by lip service, ibig sabihin hindi lang sa salita, kundi sa gawa. Yun ang importante yung gawa. Oo, yun yung dapat tignan ng tao.
Yeah, and ngayon, I think we have been, President Duterte, thanks to President Duterte, the China for the past years, going on 6 years, closely, despite maraming sasabotahin ng relasyon and so on. China has been consistent with its words. Yan ang isang importanteng maunawaan ng ito at ng tayong Pilipinas. Ang China ay binibigyan ng malaking kahalagahan ang bawat salita niyan. Of course, na parang namanhid na ang populasyon ng mundo sa mga kasinungalingan sa geopolitics, education. Dahil yan po sa 500 taon na paghahari ng kanluran, ng Western imperialism, puro batay sa kasinungalingan. Tulad ng sinungaling ni Admiral Dewey kay Pinaldo. We're just here to fight the Spaniards and help you. Wala, sinakop na tayo. Hindi, sabi ni Bush, tayo'y aatake sa Iraq dahil sa weapons of mass destruction. Yung pala, sila din ang umamin. Wala pa lang weapons of mass destruction ang Iraq. So, it was based on the principle of every nation for itself. Yung, di ba, yung prinsipyo na there are no friends and no enemies, but only permanent interests. So, interest ko to . And then yung sinabi ni Pompeo under Trump na we lied, we cheated, we stole, and we killed, and so on and so forth. Pero China bilang ibang klaseng sibilisasyon, and I think we should learn this and appreciate this, become like that, yung may isang salita, tura. Tayo talagang tinatanggap naman ng populasyon na politiko yan. Walang labda de honor yan. Kaya sa eleksyon, ay benta ko na lang boto ko kasi kanya lang naman itong interest . But no, China gives it a lot of value, the ethics, ang libong taong civilization niya, hindi po papayag na masira ang Chinese culture, Chinese civilization. And sa laki niya, it has to be consistent with its words. Kasi nang maniniwala, parang Estados Unidos, wala nang naniniwala ngayon. Lumusob sila sa Afghanistan para saklolohin ng Afghanistan. After 20 years, basta iiwanan, binitawan na lang Afghanistan. Ganyan din sa Vietnam, binitawan na lang. Sabi nila, sasaklolohin nila ang Libyans from Muammar Gaddafi. Pinatay nila. Lalong lumala ang buhay ng mga, di lang ng mga Libyans, pati yung mga OFW natin sa Libya. Okay, we're still trying to contact Kaado, no? So we'll wait a while to establish. Ana, what's your insight here sa the words of nations, governments, cultures? No?
I think kasi ang maganda kasing tignan ng mga tao when you talk about China as against to other superpowers, no? Kasi ang China po, kung titignan mo yung kanyang history, nagdaan siya sa maraming pagsubok din . Oo, tsaka tulad ng third world countries, na-colonize din ng China at nagkaroon din siya ng tinatawag mong humiliation for 100 years. So I think China, kasi ang China right now, though it's a rising superpower, no, it's still considered to some extent as a developing world, no, part of the developing world. So kung titignan niyo po, ang kanyang experience hindi naiiba sa experience ng mga countries na tulad sa atin. So nakaka-relate, kumbaga sa relationship ng bawat tao, nakaka-relate siya sa developing world. Alam niya kung ano ang kailangan ng developing world, alam niya kung paano inapay ang mga countries of the developing world and least developed. So when it comes to relationship with the rest of the world, alam din niya na ano yung need, how it can help, no, the rest of the developing world, kasi galing siya doon. Though pinaka-advance yan na country sa developing countries, nakaka-relate siya. So alam din niya kung paano tignan, paano siya tutulong, ano yung kailangan ng mga bansang gustong umunlad. Kasi galing siya doon. So I think that's the biggest advantage of China when you talk about relationship with other countries, especially sa third world and least developed. Kasi naranasan niya. On the other hand, the Western countries, yun ang problema nila. Because they never understood the other side of the world, the South. Yun ang sinatawag ng South eh. Kasi hindi naman sila dumaan doon. Kasi bakit? From the longest time ng history nila, lagi sila yung lagi sila ang colonizers, sila yung nag-extract ng resources sa mga countries in Africa, Asia. So, hindi nila makita ang sarili nila doon sa shoes ng mga tulad ng mga tao na nasa developing world. So, ang hirap, no? So nagkakaroon ka ng ganyang, minsan yung kanilang strategy in establishing relationship, like for example with us, hindi siya akma dun sa need natin. Like for example, tingnan mo, the United States, when they give aid, they give more on military aid. Kung titingnan mo ang Pilipinas at this time, hindi naman kailangan natin ng military aid Ang kailangan natin development aid, economic aid. And look at China. What China gives to us, it gives us aid in terms of agriculture. Kasi nakikita niya, agricultural country ang Pilipinas. It has to develop its agriculture kasi yun yung base ng ekonomiya. So makikita mo yung difference of perspective and approaches. So ang sinasabi ko lang, at the end of the day, makikita natin kung paano nagre-relate ang mga country sa isa't isa. Base din yan sa kanilang experience as a country. No? Kaya ang China, makikita mo, more on development siya Build, agricultural, electricity, mga ganun ang kanyang tulong sa mga bansa ng Africa, bansa ng Asia. No? So ganun yung approach. Unlike the others, well, they also do some kind of extension of help. Pero ang problema kasi minsan mayroon niyang may exchanges na sometimes yung exchanges is very intruding dun sa political dynamics ng loob ng country. Like for example, kailangan mag-democratize ka, quote unquote, if you want some aid from us. Dapat ganito, ganyan, no? May string attached Hindi siya business to business lang. China has a different approach, I think. Probably because it understands how, and it feels like the way we feel in the developing world. So yun yung difference. So makaka-relate din tayo sa kanila. So may ganon. Ang ko lang dito sa Pilipinas, sana makita natin yon at makita din natin na yung mga country sa Asia, Asiano yan. So ang unang tutulong dyan is tayo din, di ba? So may ganong dynamics po. Yan po ang tingin ko, no? Habang pinag-aaralan ko yung dynamics ng iba't ibang country.
Well, I totally agree with you, Maestra Ana. Dahil maraming hindi pa nakakaunawa nito dahil nga daan taon pagtungo na sa 600 years ang karanasan natin sa colonization and neo-colonialism, yung bagong klaseng kolonyalismo. At ngayon lang po tayo nakakalaya, no? Ang pinuto ni Presidente Duterte yung kanikala itong mga turang kanluran sa atin, And lahat ng mga kapintasan ng tura na maling, loko, mangkoyo. Dahil nga kailangan ganyan sila to conquer us, to occupy us, which they did, Tapos para ma-okupa ang Pilipinas, maghusay sila sa divide and conquer, hatiin ng Bisaya, Tagalog, team and so on, Away-away tayo lagi kahit na during the revolution ngayon, between the Caviteños and Tagalog ba yung kay Bonifacio, so mas alam yung mga na yan Anyway, that era is ending. We're coming back to a culture where there is honor, there is word of honor, And so it will be better for all kinds of relationships. Itong poll ngayon sa, yeah, well, of course, may results meron bang results? Yung Go, 100% so far, ang sumusuporta nung pagbalik Pogo. Show results in video. How do I show it? Diyos ang maglalagay po sa screen natin. So far, 100% supporting ang dapat si Kaado. Anyway, let's move on. Now we're moving on to the big issue for this week. Kasi nga, ilang linggo din tayo naghahanda dahil inaabangan natin kung anong bomba ang pasasabugin ng mga amboys dito at ng Embassy, Asia Maritime Institute, yung satellite monitoring, anong isyong ipapasabog nila. Nagpasabog nga sila nitong July 12 sa symposium o seminar, or conference ng stock base na Albert Del Rosario, na Carpio, and so on. And by the way, today meron naman isa, ang keynote speaker, si Lacson, no? Today meron sila. Pero nung Lunes, nung 12, nung ikalimang anibersaryo na arbitration victory daw, nagpasabog sila. And I'm sorry to use the term, but yun naman talagang pinasabog na nagpasabog sila ng tae. Pero yung shit nga, ika nga sa English, hit the fan. Kumbaga, tinamaan ng ventilador, kumalat, pero bumalik sa kanila. That's why I'm planning an article na ang title, Boomerang Shit Backs, Shit Boomerangs Back to the US and the Amboy, something like that. Anyway, improve yan ni Kaado pagka nakuha. Kasi nga, yun ang isang Liz Der, D-E-R-R, Americana, na siyang founder ng Simularity. Actually, tayo po ang unang nag-expose dito sa Simularity some months back. No? Doon sa, maaalala nyo yung controversy doon sa Whitsun Reef, 220
Yes.
Fishing boats na militia boats daw, and so on. Lahat po, yung Simularity ang nagbigay ng materials dyan sa mga amboys na nagpropaganda po rito. And you will recall, I have to point this out, that we also exposed the Joseco Studio, the UP military historian, na before yung March bomba nitong mga amboys, Pebrero, kanyang nagpaparinig na siya sa One News ng sa TV, na may coup plot ang mga military and so on, kasi kung ano mga nagawa daw ni Duterte at diyan sa West Philippine Sea daw and so on. Nangyari nga yung bomba nung March and lumaki yun sa March, April hanggang masok na si Duterte at pinatigil, pinashut up si Eddie Boy Locsin, si Lorenzana at si Harry Roque na lang daw kasalita to issue and so far. They've all behaved, di ba? Ana.
Oh,
diba?
wala
Nag-behave
na.
na sila, no? Nag-behave na. Anyway, of course, alam natin na itong mga Amerikano at yung bata-bata dito ay kahanda for July 12. That's why we had a media forum last week, di ba? Madam Ana was part of it with George C., hosted by Wilson B. Flores, and kasama mo si
Romel Ganlawe, Professor
Romel
Romel
Ganlawe,
Ganlawe, and Harry Roque, Secretary
and Harry Roque mismo, no? Last Huwebes, no? Thursday
of last week.
Thursday of last week. So, inunahan the Maestra Ana. And so, unahan din pala sila nung away ni Hilbay at ni Carpio.
Yes.
So, di ba? So, it's good to have a key perspective of the historical process na mabot tayo dito. So, abang tayong lahat sa July 12 na pasasabog nila. Ayan nga ang pinasabog. Nandiyan po sa screen po ninyo ngayon, no? China vessels dumping human waste in parts of West Philippine Sea. Sabi ng GMA News, no? Photo show. Ito ay yung second report ng GMA News kasi meron silang unang news na palpak. Yun yung sumabog sa mukha nila na
Mhm.
tae nila. I'm sorry to use the term. Very crude. Pero that really brings to you the crudeness of these people. Ano? And yung incompetence nila sa propaganda nila. Bakit? The next screen will show you. And I'm sure many in our audience already know this. Ano? Ito kinuha ko kay Peter Q. Lavinia ito, kanyang post. Posted ng maraming tao na po ito. Ano, mabuti,
Actually,
salamat kay Samaniego ba yun sa bulletin? Yung sa Manila Daily Bulletin, yung si Kado ang may alam ng mga technical terms yan. Fortunately, wala si Kado. No. And yung si Samaniego ng bulletin, ni-review niya yung mga photos. Na-discover niya yung makikita po ninyo, yung malaking barko na may trail na brown na parang kulay, di ba? Yan. Diyan, no? Screen po ninyo, no? Yan ang pinalabas nitong simularity ng GMA7, CNN, Rappler, and so on. Ayan ang mga dumi na dinadump ng Pero sa review ni Samaniego, I forget the full name. Mamaya, I hope I can take a look at it. Na itong litratong eksaktong ito ay ginamit na noong 2014 sa Australia. Ano? And yung ulat doon sa Australia ay tungkol sa dredging at yung tinatapon nitong barkong ito na dredging material sa dagat sa Great Barrier Reef. Na masama talaga para sa corals ng Australia. Pero imbis na magtrabaho ng maayos itong Amerikana at yung kanilang propaganda outlets tulad ng GMA7 na sinasabi most trusted pa sa Pilipinas, ginamit nila yung photo noong 2014 doon sa Daily Mail sa England. At yun na lang ginamit nila dito sa kanilang ulat tungkol daw sa mga dumi tinatapon ng Chinese vessel sa dagat. Hindi nga Chinese vessel yan eh. No? O nabisto sila. So ngayon sumasabog na sa mukha nila yung kalingan. And mabuti naman, tinamaan ng GMA7 kasi lumalabas sa mga survey, pinaka-credible daw ang GMA7. Now you know it's true. They're not really reliable. Na meron ding American interest sa likod. Kasi nga, yung mga may-ari niyan, lalo-lalo na si Coson, kilala ko personally, he offered me a program sa GMA7 noon, no? Many years ago, I refused it. Alam ko naman, dilaw siya. Pero si Coson, Attorney Coson, ang siyang abogado nila, at lahat ng mga oligarchs. So, finally, mabuti naman, nagsalita si Locsin at si Lorenzana refuting the report about alleged human rights. Sabi ni Lorenzana, hindi yan totoo. And si Locsin din, sinabi, hindi yan totoo. Yung adelantada ng Rappler, nag-tweet ng tanong kay si Sofia Tomacruz. Good afternoon, Secretary of Foreign Affairs Locsin. Similarities findings were based on satellite images captured in June this year. Simularity.com/July 2021 water, etc. Will the DFA considering looking into the incident or similarities report? Sabi ni Teddy Locsin, no. DFA doesn't have the maritime capability. I would suggest, however, that those who believe it prove it by drinking copiously. Copiously means without stop, non-stop. Tons and tons, volumes and tons. Therefrom, after stirring the bottom, alukayin daw yung dumi, and then we'll take stool samples from them. There should be a copious supply of truth. Copious is the word of the day. Well, of course, si Teddy Boy Locsin lagi mag-show off ng wit niya and English niya and so on. But to make a long story short, dininay ni Locsin at ni Lorenzana na totoo yan. But of course, pro forma, the government will say, we will investigate and so on. Yun na ngayon ang status ng balita. Now, I'm close to wrapping up so that get your analysis.
Mhm.
So, ano yung simularity? We exposed this already, I think in April. And in-expose ko na rin yung CIA connection yan. The connection of simularity to the CIA is not direct. Itong picture dyan, makikita niyo si Liz there, co-founder and CEO at Simularity, an artificial intelligence-based geospatial intelligence company, Richmond, California, USA. States. Pero may partner po ang Simularity. Ang pangalan po ng partner is All Source, no? ALOURE, which is now, this is where it comes in. The CIA All Source Analysis, fundraising 500,000 to commercially sell CIA-level satellite intelligence. And from the CIA to Digital Globe, sabi dito, sprouting from deep industry roots. Anong industry roots nitong all source? Dalawang tao po, no? The expertise stems from ASA's founding team, or ASA is All Source Analysis, no? Founding team combined. They have over 75 years experience. CEO Stephen Wood spent his early years in the CIA doing satellite imagery and analysis before joining Longmont-based commercial space imagery vendor Digital Globe, and then Digital Globe Chief Analytics Officer Joseph Bermudez was an analyst for a British open source intelligence company IHS Jane before joining Digital Globe. At Digital Globe, the two met CMO Chuck Herring. Chuck Herring is another character I already investigated. So, yan po. So, mga intel ng Amerikano, itong mga nanggagalingan ng mga lahat ng formasyon nitong Rosario, Carpio, Batumbakal, Darian. Napakalinaw po yan. Of course, hindi na babalitaan ng ibang hindi natin dyan. Ano, sa kay Biglaw o kay Sasrogando. Malaking bahagi pa ng populasyon na nahihypnotize ng GMA7, ABS-CBN, so on, CNN, Channel TV5, and so on. Yun ang tungkulin natin na maabot lahat. Kaya, ang linaw ng panloloko. Now, both the BBC also, in preparation for July 12, nagawa sila ng report, which I wrote about already. And dito rin, relevant to this issue ng dumi daw na pinapakalat. Sabi kasi ang Chinese, ang daming fishing vessels, kaya tumatambak ang mga dumi. And so, sinasabi ko dito naman sa next image, which you also taught me to monitor, no? South China's Coping Initiative, kaanan. Noong Hulyo lang hanggang July 3, anyway, a total of 8,590 Vietnamese fishing vessels with 87,500 tracking points recorded by the AIS, yung satellite, in the whole South China Sea, April 2021, and has little changed from March of 2021. So more or less, even July, ganyan 8,700 plus Vietnamese with mga 75,000, 80,000 tracking points. Kung lahat yan ay nagtatapon din ng dumi, bakit hindi nyo tingnan, di ba? That's my point. So, itong si Liz din, tinitingnan ng isang barko. Sabi daw, ito 8,600 round daw. Now, we have another image. I hope it has been included. Okay, ito naman, marami din nag-post na nito si kay Jamin Meiji ang pinili ko. Ano? Kasi itong pinopoint out ni Liz there at sila De Rosario Carpio, sa Union Banks na naman daw nangyari ito. Union Banks, Whitson Reef, Felipe, Julian Felipe Reef. Union Banks, yun yung pangalan ng in English ng Julian Felipe Reef.
Ng Julian Felipe, Yun ang pinopoint ni na De Rosario.
Sabi nga ni Sasrogando, ni Jamin and others, no, sabi, kung tingnan mo ang presence, ang Vietnamese ang mas mataas na presence diyan. They have 4 installations around Union Banks or Whitsun. Whitsun Reef is only part of Union Banks. So yun yang sa harap po ninyo, yung parang maraming mga isla na yan. The whole of it is the Union Banks or Julian Felipe. Yung violet ba yan, no? Kulay na medyo pulahin, hindi yellow. Yung violet na kulay, yan po yung mga military installations, naval installations. Yung yellow, dalawa po yun, ang China. So mas maraming presence ang Vietnamese yan. Bakit hindi kunan ng mga similarity, yung si Lisder, ang mga ginagawa ng Vietnamese? Kasi nga, kanilang pinapalabas lang na ang China ang kalaban ng Pilipinas, claims, at China lang ang gumagawa ng kabalustugan, kawalangian. Oh, no, they're not, they're manipulating perception of our audiences in the Philippines. Now, I think we discussed this in our other programs, RP1, yung BBC, no? But I wrote my column nga dito, mabas na sa PH, British Broadcasting, Parrot Scorpios, Balungkong Logic, and Stop Lies. I think in our last show, we also showed yung trawlers, may trolling and so on. Na ang BBC naman, before July 12, nagkawa ng report na maraming mali, maraming butas, all in preparation for the July 12 moment. So yan, mahaba yung aking presentation because I wanted to present to our audience the historical process ng kanilang propaganda planning, yung kanilang mga instrumento sa pagkita ng yung impression na scientific ang kanilang report, China ay napakasama, and so on. I think that has been made very clear. So, and in fact, doon sa Viber group ko, nung aming Capitolio Residents Group, may nag-post nung GMA7 na fake news. Eh, hindi naman ako nagpo-post ng news na political and commercial doon kasi community yun, no? Bible. Hindi ako makakapigil. Nag-post na ako nitong mga ebidensya. Hanggang sa pinatigil na kami nung moderator nung Viber group namin. Okay, tumahimik na ako. May ibang nag-post naman ng mga yung pinopost ko. Kasi naiinis doon sa manloloko. No? Well, anyway, that's a long story. Ana, I'll bring it back to you. It's now, I think I occupied 15 minutes presenting all this.
Mas mabuti pong na-present niyo lahat at yung kabuuan kasi yan ang kailangan ma-contextualize lahat, no, to present po. Sa akin po dito sa unang puntos ko, media. Napaka-responsable naman ng ganyang klaseng balita. Given na ang GMA7 is supposedly, actually sila na lang nga ang, they're a mainstream media. Wala naman silang kakompetisyon na. So why do you have to do such thing na, di ba, would sensationalize an issue? Tapos ang sensationalism, ang pag-sensationalize ng issue, fake news pa. At ang bilis ngayon, yun nga sinasabi ko, only in the Philippines na ang mga media people or mainstream media ay may license to spread fake news. Totoo yun eh. Well, in other countries like the US, but come on. The US, expected na yan eh, kasi they have their own propaganda. But in the Philippines, parang hindi pa tayo na-alarm sa ganun. Kasi supposedly, ang media, you have to be responsible. Na yung presentation ng similarity, actually kung titingnan mo, sinabi nila may daw nakita na image sa satellite na may barko na nagtatapon. Pero they even said na, yung nagre-report na si yung babae.
There.
Sinasabi nga niya. Na sinasabi nga niya na hindi siya sigurado kung Chinese vessel nga yun. Yun ang sinabi niya eh. Oo, hindi pa nga siya sigurado, pero ina-allege niya na baka Chinese vessel. So, dun pa lang sa presentation, it's very obvious na even the one presenting is not even sure. So, it's speculative. So, ikaw, as a media person or as a media network, you don't capture that na talagang parang sigurado ka na Chinese vessels nga yung nag-spread ng dumi diyan sa sa South China Sea. Kasi hindi nga sigurado yung nag-report eh. 'Di ba? Parang napaka-irresponsable. I mean, this kind of things, malaki yung impact niyan sa sa tao eh. Kasi yung mga tao hindi naman kasi lahat nag-iisip eh. So yung iba,
kahit na yung mga nag-iisip, Maestra Ana, kung ang pinipresent lang ng news ay yung side na fake, how will the public know that it's fake, di ba? So, but the other thing I wanted to add to what you said, Ana, yung about responsibility. They're not responsible to the public. They're just being responsible to their family. Bakit? Naghahanap buhay lang yung mga reporter, editor, publisher, sa amo nila. I'm sure they know what is fake and what is not.
Of course. Oh,
But they still come out with it kasi kailangan nila ang sweldo. And that is why, konektado sa issue ng oligarchism itong media na kontrolado ng oligarchs, di ba?
Hindi wag na silang maging reporter, maging na lang sila propagandist kasi may sinumpaan ng isang reporter eh. Ang isang journalist, may sinumpaan yan. Maging komentarista sila. Diba? Kasi
that's right.
Hindi, totoo eh. Hindi maging propagandist ka, then justified na you have to be paid for whatever you do because you're propagandist. Rather than a reporter, nagkukunyari ka or nagsasabi kang you're reporting news. Because these are not news. These are fake news. And you affect the way people thinks. And that's very dangerous. Because it develops emotional feelings, no? Nagiging emotional yung tao, naging feelings towards another country na hindi naman pala totoo. Pasalamat nga po tayo Mentong na sa social media mabilis na at mabilis na rin mag-check yung ating mga kaibigan dyan na pag nakita nila, madali nilang nare-research kung tama o hindi yung na-report. Kasi yung picture, malinaw na malinaw yung comparison. Hindi naman yun eh. Green-up lang nila, tapos nilagay nila. Hindi pa nga binerified. Goodness. Anong tingin nga sa yun ang naiinis ako Mentong. Kasi anong tingin nila sa ating mga Pilipino? Bobo?
Yun
that we cannot even verify news and we cannot even recheck? Of course not. Diba? Ang baba ng tingin ng mga media networks na ganito ang practices sa Pilipino eh. Doon ako naiinis eh. You should not treat Filipinos as stupid because Filipinos knows how to research and recheck information. Yun yung ayoko eh. Kasi ako, I'm part of that eh. I'm part of the Filipino nation, no? I know how to do research. So nakakabuisit yung ganyan eh. Kaya uminit yung ulo ko. Actually, wala lang tayong mag-post eh. Kasi nga ang busy ko eh. Pero galit na galit ako kasi pag gising ko sa umaga, yan agad ang nakita ko sa isang kaibigan ko kasi pinasa agad yan sa akin sa Facebook. Pero sa Messenger. Sabi ko, Leche, kaya shinare ko ng shinare, doon lang, hindi lang ako makapag-comment kasi ang dami kong ginagawa. Pero second point po, napaka-selective din. Ang dami namang, andyan ang Vietnam. Ang Vietnam, tignan mo nga yung yung SCS na report, na Proving Initiative. Ilang thousands na votes na nandyan. Bakit hindi yan nire-report? Ni isang mainstream media, walang nag-report yan except the social media. Mga netizen lang. Bakit? Why do you have to be selective? When you want to report, then report everything, di ba? Let people decide kung anong gusto nilang maging perspective and perception. Hindi napaka-selective nila eh. They always target China and they always target China. Hindi lang naman China ang player sa South China Sea eh. You have Vietnam there. Na dyan sa Union Bank, ilan? 4 ang installation ng China. Ng Vietnam. 2 yung China, 4 yung Vietnam. Of course, if you look at 4 installation, karamihan ng barko na nandyan, kung sino man yung nag-spread ng waste, syempre yung may maraming installations. Logic-wise, that's very easy. It's common-sensical, di ba? So nakakabuisit na niloloko tayo at iniikot yung brain natin. Akala mo naman, hindi natin makita kung anong totoo. Yun ang ayoko dun eh. Yun yung deception eh. That's deception, no? And mind conditioning. Nakala mo, kaya pang dalhin nila yan. Hindi na po, dahil meron na pong social media. Kahit nire-regulate pa ni fact checker yung mga posting, still may paraan pa rin ang mga Pilipino kung paano mag-spread at makorek yung mga fake news. Ayan na ang ating maestro.
Nakabalik na.
Nakabalik na.
Maestro, narinig mo ba yung pinag-uusapan? Nawala ka talaga.
ano, lumipad yung wifi ko.
Anyway, pinag-uusapan namin yung boomerang shit, ano, yung sa GMA na ulat. You had a good post there. Medyo maganda pa ang pasok mo sa Facebook na kailangan pa ba ng GMA ng fake news? Wala nang kompetisyon, wala na yung ABS-CBN, di ba? Maraming nag-like doon.
Oh, grabe. Parami, at saka parami pa lang parami. Parami pa lang parami. Nasa ano na eh, 60 shares na kagad. Saka grabe. Sabi ko nga, bakit kailangan magpakitang gilas pa ang pamilyang Goson, di ba? Saka Jimenez at saka ano pa ba yung isa? Duabi. So, what we're seeing here really is ano eh, hindi na pwedeng deregulated to mga ito eh. Lalo na yung mga broadcast. Yung print pa, okay pa dyan. Pwede pa dyan kasi mabilis mabisto kung nag-ano talaga sila eh. Pero sa broadcast, mahina na kasi ang KBP ngayon eh. There is virtually a non-existent KBP. And KBP used to be policing. I remember that guy who died, yung presidente nila, he was a very good man. And he was a very good policeman for mga violations na ganito. Kuha sa Australia ito ng World Wildlife eh. Fund.
Yeah.
For the Great Barrier World Heritage Site. And all of a sudden, it's in the South China Sea.
Oh. Now, anong latest development dito, Kado and Maestro Ana, yung Simularity naman ngayon, American firm under Liz there, inaaway na ang GMA7. At tinatawag niya irresponsible media yung GMA7. But of course, it begins with Simularity. Kasi talagang, sabi nila, kitang-kita daw yung dumi from satellite. Ibig sabihin na, kukunan nila yung mga kumpul-kumpul na tae from the satellite. Kalokohan din talaga yung sinimulan ni Liz there. Para nga meron silang bomba para sa July 12. Yun talaga ang yun talagang game nila dyan.
Kasi wala na. Opo, kasi wala na po Mentong at Kaado sila. Hindi na nila matackle masyado yung PCA ruling kasi marami na parang alam na ng tao kung anong totoo doon eh. 'Di ba? Sa programa natin, sa social media, kina Sir Bobby Tiglao, ang dami eh. So nabungkal na eh, naungkat yung katotohanan doon. Sinasabi nga ni Sir Bobby, hoax nga yun, no? Na nagsayang lang tayo ng pera. So hindi nila na yan matackle talaga nung July 12. So naghanap sila ng another issue na makakapag-intig ng demosyon ng Pilipino. At ito naman yun, na sobra namang speculative at saka boomerang din. Bumalik din sa kanila, no? Kasi nakita din ng mga tao na mali at fake news nga. So, ay nako.
Sa press time, meron naman bagong pakulo sila na yung mga sa Sambales daw, yung mga fisher folk, tinawagan naman si Mayor Lim ng Masinloc. Dininay naman ni Mayor Lim na Masinloc at in-interview yung mga fisher folk doon, dininay din. So, it's really a barrage of fake news. Alam nyo, as I shared with you sa private Bible natin, I took up information technology, and one of the disciplines na naging favorite ko was itong satellite na ito. So I pursued on and took on the ADA programming language. Of course, from a layman's viewpoint, merely by looking at the color legends and then the remote sensing satellite pictures, makikita mo na eh. But if you really want analytics on it, then you must know ADA, programming language. And I took this up, and I've gone through no exaggeration. I went through 3,000 plates. Nag-interpret ako ng 3,000 plates. Feedback dyan ng Landsat 6, Spot ng France, no? At Tiros ng Japan, yung Landsat 6 sa US. And looking back, imposibleng malaman ko from the satellite kung ano talaga yung kulay brown na yan. And unless you go there and really visually or through chemistry, alamin mo kung ano yan. Yun nga hindi ba sa Boracay, ine-measure nila yan every now and then using a special testing kit. Pero yung nandun ka sa outer space, para sabihin mo, like similarity, that this is waste. Human waste pa ang sabi ha. Kung waste lang, makakalusot pa sila eh. But this could be reclamation, no? Yung excess reclamation. This could be something else. No? A lot more. No? Depende talaga. Kailangan lumapit ka para malaman mo talaga yung substance. Right away, may conclusion na sila.
Kasi ang ano nila parang very specific talaga, no? Human waste. Ang tanong is, nakita nyo ba? May proof ba kayo? Kasi nga ang tubig, before you even know kung talagang anong klaseng waste yan, you have to test the water.
Yes. Yun ang sinasabi ni Doc.
Scientific way of doing it Pero how can you possibly be more accurate na human waste nga yun? Dahil kulay brown? Bakit ang tubig hindi kulay brown?
Kaya nga.
Diba? I mean, come on. This is so stupid, really. I'm telling you.
Sige, Kado.
Ang notorious dito yung mga cruise liners. Pero pumipili sila talaga ng malalim na lugar. Kasi ang human waste naman, hindi naman necessarily toxic to found.
Precisely.
Sa mga fish. Pagkain nga nila yan eh. Pero wag mong ilalagay yan doon sa mababaw. Wag mong ilalagay yan doon sa may mga coral reefs, no? Pag malalim na at malayo na sa mga islands, pwede na yan. So, and there are protocols on this yata eh. And WF na is trying to to control that.
Well, actually, yung tweet ni Locsin, meron siyang isang tweet na sinasabi niya, ano ba yung i-refer niya na mayaman na babae na yate, nagtatapon ng dumi nga yung crew nung yate niya, nakasakay siya. Sabi niya, don't dump the waste on my sea. Kasi nasa sariling yate siya, sa sariling lugar niya. Pero sa maraming natural lang yan lalo-lalo na yung mga fishermen natin, small boats, they just do it out at sea, no? But ang problema dito, sobrang nagdrama itong si Liz there ng Singularity. Meron pa siya, this is a quote, no? Sabi, pinagtawanan nga ni Sasrogando to. Sabi, it is so, si Liz there, ng Amerikano, it is so intense you can see it from space. Nagdrama pa siya, kaya katawa-tawa kasi sabi ni Sasrogando nga, wala yung cursor ko, sabi ni
no way.
So interesting that the report of the scale of human waste dumping is accompanied by these really convincing satellite photos about shit and ships, and not by actual report by our Coast Guard complaining about the stink of the alleged human shit. Ang baho ng issue na to, ha? Anyway, in other words, ang baho nitong gimmick nila Liz there ng Singularity. But I wanted to point out the pattern. They started this year, March. with 220 Malaysia fishing boats daw ng China. Dinevelop nila ang storya to this daming fishing boats ng China na tatapon ng shit. So, kita mo, it's a whole plan. A strategic communication plan. Pero lahat bumalik sa kanila ang baho, di ba? Kaya
Bumirang.
nadagdagan pa ng away ni Hilbay at saka ni Carpio. So, wasak na wasak po ang strategic communication plan nila ngayon.
Wala.
Unfortunately, Kado, sabi ko nga kay Maestro Ana kanina, na all this information is not reaching enough Filipinos. No, na ang laging nakatutok sa GMA7 sa hapon, nakatutok sa iba't iba. Pero of course, we have seen sa SMNI na marami nating masang nakatutok doon, yung ibang alternative channels. So,
one media sila kanina, one media sila nakatutok kanina.
So, ayan po. Anything else to add to this, Maestra?
Palagay ko last year na nila ito. Last full show na nila ito.
Last full show. That would I agree. Tawag nito, alam mo kung bakit gumuguho kahit anong gawin pa nilang communication plan at ilang bilyones pa yan. Precisely because these are false information and these are not based on truth. Anything that is not based on truth, eventually, maguguho din yan. Ganun ho talaga ang rule ng universe, no? The universe has its own way of exposing false and truth matters or things. Right, Yun lagi. Kahit pa yan pagtakpak-takman, mabubungkal at lalabas kung anong totoo at anong baho ng mga taong nag-spread ng fake news. Ganun lang ho talaga ang mundo at ang universe.
Nabanggit ko na naman yung baho. Yung salitang baho, bagay na bagay sa usapan natin. Yung baho nila, Del Rosario, baho. Naglabasan ng baho si Carpio at si Hilbay, di ba? Baho talaga.
Nag-away-away sila din.
And of course, we have to credit those like, I forget the full name, Kadios, baka mahanap mo yung bulletin technician. Hinanap yung picture ng Australian boat niya. And nabiston na nga. Because we really owe it to him for doing that research. Sa Maniego atang apelyido.
Alam mo ka, Bento? May suspecha ako na merong hindi nabigyan ng full payment dyan.
Pwede.
Nagkaonsehan sa hatian yan, maniwala ka sa akin. Nagkaonsehan yan sa hatian. Or, yung face payments ay hindi nakarating. Ayan, at hindi na makakarating dahil babaho.
Tama ang pangalan na binigay ko sa Maniego, si Art Samaniego. The photo was taken in 2014. Sabi ni Rene, you call the attention of Philippine fact checkers about this. I reversed and researched. Si Art Samaniego nag-post yan nung kanyang ginawa. I reversed, searched, and found out that the photo allegedly dumping human waste was taken in Australia and not in the West Philippines. Art Samaniego. In fact, I wanted to get a collection of donors, to try to raise at least mga 5,000 to 10,000 to award him. I don't know if I will be successful. But, we can praise. Pero iba yung may material reward din, di ba? So, I want to make it a project. We really should reward people who help us discover the truth, help the public. Kasi itong mga Rappler naman, alam naman natin, $1,000,000 ang sinusubo sa kanila ng mga Amerikano. Yung mga nagkukusa naman na tulad ni Art Samaniego. Ano ba naman yung 10,000? That's nothing. He has a good job in the bulletin. But I think the symbolic gesture galing sa puso natin. I'll start a small fundraising for si Ginoong Art. Of course, we should also praise Rene Astudillo, an avid FB poster, di ba? You know the name, Madam Ana? Rene Astudillo. Lagi kong nakikita. And siya ang nag-call attention daw to the Philippine fact checkers about this. Now, of course,
Oo, nakita ko yun sa Twitter. Hinahamon niya ang mga fact checker ng Twitter at saka Facebook na, hamunan tayo, check nyo nga ito. Kasi doon ko siya nakita. Actually, kinapture ko siya. Hindi lang ako nakapag-post.
And kaya nga, nahahalata na rin natin ng lahat bakit ang Vera Files, fact checker daw siya, tahimik. Diba?
Oo.
Diba?
Pati nga si GPE pinak-check nila Hindi man nila ma-delete kasi nandun sa alam mo nakakainis na lang yung mga facts. Alam mo ngayon yung aking 'di ba pwede kang mag-boast sa sa Facebook. Inano nila yun inano nila yung yung boasting capacity ng aking account. Ewan ko kung bakit, hindi naman ako nag-boast.
Nilimit ka?
Hindi naman kasi ako mahilig mag-boast kasi I don't need to. Pero out of the blue, talagang naka-restrict ang aking boasting capacity na wala naman akong binuboast. Diba? Na personal, Diyos ko Lord. Sabi ko itong mga to, inunahan ako, hindi nga ako gumagamit niyan alam na inaano nila yung mga tao, lalo na kapag may China na word or Duterte or DDI, nako, you're on the radar.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, so so it was a fun 2 weeks already so far. Ang talagang ikinaliligaya ko ay yung away ni Hipay, ni Carpio, yung ating expose sa BBC report, yung yung dumi ni Diz there ng similarity, another chance to expose the CIA link nito. So thank you Hilbay, thank you Carpio, thank you Del Rosario. Sa kanila tayo nagpapasalamat ngayon. Okay, and sabi dito, maraming comments, napakaraming comments. Sabi dito ni Tasio Del Mar, the opposition is living in its own world of chaos and discord. Nigiri, PTV, also credible news. That's right, PTV at least, it's sobrang careful na ang PTV TV4. And so let's move on. Anything else on these matters? Maestra Ana? Let's move on. Yeah. Okay, the next one is more international na kasi nga on July 12 again, statement ang US State Department as we expected, alam kasi tayo, the usual promise na sabi ng US dito ni Blinken, US repeats warning to China against attack on Philippine forces. As if China will attack Philippine forces. Number one, no? But the second point is, whatever the US promises, it never delivers. And itong mga nakaraang taon, kung ano-anong mga postura ng Taiwan kasi may pangako ang US na poprotektahan ng Taiwan, pag siya atihin. Alam naman ng lahat, of course, lalo na ng mga geopolitical analysts na wala namang gagalaw sa Taiwan, huwag lang siya mag-ano ng independence. Diba? So ngayon, ang US naman, kasi nag-warning na ang China sa US din, huwag kayong magtulak ng independence ng Taiwan. May napilitan magsalita si Kurt Campbell ng US State Department. US does not support Taiwan independence, sabi ni Kurt Campbell. Yan din naman ang gagawin ng Estados Unidos sa Pilipinas pag kami nagkaroon ng sigalot sa bakbakan tunay ng ship to ship or with the Philippines. They can quibble about sino bang nakatake. Baka Pilipinas kayo nag-atake or whatever, no? So, hindi maasahan po. And of course, Afghanistan now can feel the unreliability of the Americans. So what's your reaction, Kaado and Maestra, dito sa US statement again, saying that warning China against attack on Philippine forces?
Posturing. Nagpo-posturing daw yan na kunyari didepensahan tayo, whatever, or nasa likod natin Diyos ko naman, ano nangyari sa Scarborough Shoal standoff? Yan ay matibay na basihan kung ano ba talaga, kung talaga bang didepensahan ka, totoo ba sila sa salita nila, may Alam mo yun, may palabra de honor ba o wala? Saka in the very first place, that kind of statement is very problematic. Kasi China, as a country, wala yung intention. I don't think it has an intention to even attack any country at all. At hindi, at saka kung atake lang ang pag-uusapan, China will never use its military force kasi hindi niya kailangan yun gamitin para lang bigyan ng halimbawa, para lang maintindihan ng isang country na nagkakaroon siya ng sigalot. Kasi ang economic might niya, pwede niyang gamitin. Yun eh. So, what's the point of military, di ba? Tulad ng nangyari sa atin, nung Scarborough Shoal standoff, mababa ang relasyon natin, nag-chop off state-to-state relation, even people-to-people nung panahon ni Pinoy. China did not even, di ba? Did not even move militarily. Anong ginawa ng China? Tripled ang ating export. Banana at I think that's one. So,
banana.
Banana. So, ang sinasabi ko lang, walang intensyon na any military whatsoever or occupation or invasion niyang China yan. Ang ano nila is if they want to retaliate, kung mayroon man tayong sigalat sa kanila, it's much more on the economic, which would affect our economics then dito sa Pilipinas. But that will never happen as well, precisely because we have good relation with our neighbor. Sa policy ni Digong na yung kanyang independent foreign policy, rapprochement policy toward China na binabalanse din niya. At the same time, binago niya yung polisiya ng past administration na from very antagonistic na relasyon with China, nagkaroon siya ng rapprochement policy, nagtry siyang mag-establish ng good relation. Like it benefits all Filipinos. So, diba? I mean, yung mga posturing na ganyan, pang lang yan eh. Ang tawag dyan, nililito mo yung tao eh. Yun
well, yun ang ginagawa ng State Department. And anyway, State Department din na nasa likod ng regularity, stores, and State Department din nasa likod ng yun. Ang question sa akin, ilang pang bahagi o portion ng sana maliit na lang. And of course, I'm still waiting for the President to finalize yung termination ng DFA, which happened in term. At yun ang mga malinaw na signal para hindi na makabalik pa ang mga Amerikano. Let's go to Kaado. Tahimik si Kaado for much of the time.
Sino ba paniniwalaan ko? Si Kurt Campbell o si Hillary Clinton? Si Barack Obama o si Biden? Mas dangerous po si Barack Obama para sa akin. At saka mas may reason na mamulitika si Hillary Clinton kaysa kay Kurt Campbell. Sabi ni Hillary Clinton we do not respond to hypothetical questions. Yun naman ang totoo eh. In fact, they have left many unanswered questions. Basta na lang sila umaatake. Yan ang problema ng Amerika. But do they come to the rescue of a country? Have they ever, in recent memory, really came to the rescue of any country? They've always been the aggressor. Ang akin dito, simple lang eh. Nobody, no president will pull another McKinley or sino ba yung isang presidente pa na Rough Rider, I forgot his yung Rough Rider Mentong ng Amerika, sino yun?
Theodore Roosevelt.
Theodore Roosevelt. Mga warmongers yan. But they will never go beyond the letter of the law. And here the law between the Philippines and the United States is the Mutual Defense Treaty, which stipulates constitutional processes. And the constitutional process is to seek the permission of Congress, the U.S. Congress, no? If the president could engage in a war. Because definitely, dahil wala namang magulo rito sa area natin, I think if anybody attacks the Philippines, magkakaroon ng World War talaga kasi we are in the middle of things. Even before the South China Sea became controversial, our geopolitical position has already been established long time ago for commerce, for war, for missionary work, for everything that involves voyages by shipping. Hindi yan basta sasabihin lang dahil namumulitika sila. They won't just say it like that. Because this is defending a country. Magpapaalam sila dyan sa kongreso nila. Pero attacking a country, ay, marami na silang inatake. In fact, yung kanilang war, ano ba yun? Yung column Tiglaw kanina umaga na yung arbitral ruling daw is mas mabaho kaysa sa war of weapons of mass destruction.
Weapons of mass destruction.
WMD. Ito raw ang WMD of the year. Because that is why, Mentong, Kaana, I have been, since magsimula tayo sa media, I have always been asking for a review and renegotiation of the Mutual Defense Treaty. And in fact, a study of our bilateral relations with the U.S. I have convinced Delphine Lorenzana that this should be the proper way. Kasi ang ambiguity talagang napakayaman, napakarami. That this ambiguity will work against us and will work against the U.S. and perhaps a third country if something really arises. Yan ang yan ang world politics.
Yeah. Well, of course, it brings up the question whether any country needs a military alliance. Kasi yung military alliances has the tendency to push countries into use of that military alliance and therefore gera. That's why China refuses even up to this time to have a military alliance with Russia. They have trade partnership, they have security partnerships and so on. Pero iba yung alliance. Yung alliance ang siyang kaya nga nangyari yung First World War and Second World War because of alliances. And sa First World War, Germany allied with Turkey and other countries, laban sa France and so on. Automatic. So, ganyan din sa Second World War. The Axis, allied ng Japan, the Germans were forced to start the war for Japan, vice versa, so on. So, ang philosophy ng China dyan is we don't need wars, therefore we don't need these alliances. Pero trade agreements, trade partnerships, yun ang focus nila. And dito sa ASEAN, I don't know, we are the only ones still with a military alliance with the US, no? Singapore has some agreements with the US, but I don't know if it's called a military alliance.
Security. It's not a pact like us, no? It's much more, I think, security strategic partnership, something to that effect, no? Hindi ko lang alam ko yung term, hindi ko lang ano sa utak ko, pero I've written about it in a research which it's much more security strategic alliance factor.
Nung nag-research ako, makasingit na please, sa US Navy Archives, kompleto doon ang yung mga debates sa US, yung mga consultation between the US and the Philippine government in the 1946 to 50s. Yan yung preparation for this treaties. Ang intensyon, kailangan maglagay ng stopgap measure. The basis was one of them. The second was the Mutual Defense Treaty. But ang intention nung diskurso was for the formation of the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization towards that objective. Kasi ang sabi ng mga, even the Americans were saying that this would be too heavy a burden for the Philippines to be carrying. And there will come a time when the nationalism some level of nationalism will wake up the Filipinos into rejecting this, just as it has been rejected in Japan, so Okinawa and all that. Natural lang na i-predict yan. So, when that time comes, they wanted a duplicate of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization dito sa Southeast Asia Treaty Organization, yung tinatawag nating TITO. Kaya lang, hindi angkop doon sa karakter ng mga especially tayo sa ASEAN. No? Yan pa siguro sa East Asia, sa Northeast Asia, Korea, Japan, and Taiwan. Maybe they can form some kind of an organization there to reinforce the Pacific position of the US. Pero dito, as you go down, Philippines going down, matamlay ang mga ASEAN, matamlay din sa kanyang klase ng mga alliances. Hindi tayo sanay dyan.
Okay.
Because the Orientals are really people-to-people oriented.
Yeah. Let me just go back to simularity. Nagda-damage control ngayon ng simularity. Meron silang communication na while we appreciate the coverage, we want to make sure our information is transparent, blah, 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 blah. No? Our last report featured an image of a ship, and we gave very clear credit to the image source, and we clearly stated that it was an unknown ship. Okay, inamin na nila yan, no? An irresponsible news organization who violated our reprint permission did not include the image credit from our report, implying that the image was an actual photograph of a Chinese ship in the Spratlys, which we did not say in our report. But palusot ito. Why did they use that photo in the first place? Tapos ngayon mag-quibble sila about, permission, etc., etc. Lokohan na to eh. No? Number two, they don't answer our question.
Balik po siya Pilato.
Naghugas ng kamay.
Naghuhugas ng kamay. And then, it does not stand there because we have presented our argument. Number one, it is not the Chinese that is dominant presence there. It's the Vietnamese. Why don't they report on the Vietnamese too? And so on. So, makikita nila natin na talagang skewed sila, biased sila, at propaganda ang intention nila. But the more they defend themselves, the more they damage control, the more we have evidence of their deception, their
ang ano ko dyan, similarity and even strat-based, no? They present themselves as like think tank.
That's right.
When you say think tank, you have, it's actually ang think tank kasi, from the way I understand it, because I've worked with many think tanks as well, no, before. Even right now, no? Ang sinasabi dyan, everything that you say is based on research. And when you talk about research, it's based on facts. Usually, when you're a good researcher, you don't divulge your facts or your findings if it's not verified yet na totoo yun. So you don't report that even in a venue like yung kanilang sinasabing forum na yon, because it's speculative. And that would be tantamount to intellectual dishonesty to present something very speculative kasi ipipick up talaga yan ng mga medyang malisyoso. So going back to them, problema pa rin nila yan. Bakit kayo nag-present niyan? Kasi i-allege nyo na probably it's a Chinese vessel, it's in the South China. But ngayon, sabihin nyo, it's an unidentified vessel. Kayong nagsimula niyan eh.
Nice.
Diba? And you're supposed to be a think tank. How can you be a think tank when you're sharing information, hindi pa verified, hindi pa talaga solid, no? Na, ato talaga, may ebidensya kami. Ganun ang think tank dapat eh. You are supposed to be responsible kasi everything that a think tank does and say are all based in research. That's from my personal experience because I've been working with different think tanks in and out of the country. My goodness, these think tanks, oh my God. They're very responsible. The same with the media network that has made this thing, di ba? For
Okay,
Diyos ko,
yeah.
tanto, Diyos ko.
Unless you are in the tank of the American or some kind of vested interest.
And mayroon kang ibang gustong gawin. Hindi yun talagang policy or whatever na right information.
May nilagay si Kajos dito na mga images, no? So, Josh, you're looking at if you can see my screen. Sewage from anchored ships is damaging Spratly Reef, ano? Analysis by simularity. Anyway, yan. Quality in Spratly report. Yan sa baba, ano? Yun. Bakit hindi nakikita ba ang buo?
Gitna ng konti. Gitna mo ng konti.
Nakikita ba ang buo?
Yung picture.
Yan, that's right. So this is actually from Simularity. So they use the picture there. Can you see it? No, they are actually using the picture there. Tapos they will deny that they did not say that it is. They intended to misrepresent and mislead. Mislead. Talagang sinadya nila. And wala silang sinabi na Chinese yan. Ano? Pero anong ibig sabihin yan? Kung ikaw ay nagbabasa niya, yan ang Chinese. Talagang walang hiya itong si Liz there. Talagang walang hiya.
Anong tawag doon? Ang naglalaro siya, binibait niya. Nagbibait siya. Actually,
That's right.
He was baiting people and especially the media. So ngayon na nag-backfire, andito naman sila, damage control and troubleshooting. Okay ka lang? You already created a lot of damage. My gosh.
Well, finally, they damage themselves.
Yes, at the end of the day.
They try to damage the Filipino people, but they damage themselves.
Yun ang problema.
Okay, problema na nila ngayon, but kailangan diinin natin. Kumbaga, let's rub in the salt. Okay, let's rub in the salt. Okay, we can move on. It's now 6:39 and maybe we will finish earlier tonight at 8 o'clock.
7:39.
7:39, 8 o'clock, maybe we can finish na. So our next item is...
Mentong.
Yeah.
Nag-comment ka na ba rin sa yung galunggong logic?
Well, I brought up, yeah. May ka doon kasi pinasadahan namin kanina while your Wi-Fi was off.
Ganun ba?
Yeah, no, let's talk about it. Ano bang mga observation mo? Ikaw ang naglagay ng title.
Talagang galunggong. From now on, Carpio, para sa akin, ay dapat dikitan itong galunggong logic. Dahil ayaw tumigil eh. Uy, by the way merong implied suggestion si Tiglaw na sumusulat ng column ni Carpio ay si Ruth Carpio.
Ang asawa?
Kaya mali-mali kung minsan ang mga cross references. Di ba yan ay galunggong logic?
Basically, going back to the article, yung BBC report is one item there, and of course, si Carpio, he had to allow the cost and value of the arbitration, no? And one is the territory, the two is the amount of fish the Chinese now are harvesting and so on. Of course, binanggit that China is the one moratorium for the past 20 years na. Ana, you made a report on that. No? Ang lahat ng Chinese vessels tumitigil.
Mhm.
What month? April ba? No? April to August.
Oo.
April to August, walang fishing boats ang mga
Walang
Chinese yan,
wala
no?
silang may moratorium.
So, again, Carpio does not factor in the Vietnamese na ganyan. Tayo mga 8,500 boats. Every month yan, gumagala dyan, walang moratorium yan. Bakit hindi niya pinapoint out? No? So how much? Actually, in my article sa Pinoy Expose, which I have to go back to again, I think I mentioned it in our article natin, na ang Vietnamese po, ang average haul per capita, kanyang huli is 31 kilograms per capita per population nila of mga 100 day. We're bigger population. Ang ating per capita catch is only 20 natin. And of course, ang Chinese divided by 1.4 billion. We are not speculating, we're not making judgment. But Carpio does not do any research. No, to explain
Para kasing automatic, no?
Ayun.
Lumalabas.
Bilang naman siya,
Masakay sila lahat.
Themselves and factotum na siya. Tawag doon. Footnote. Saan mo ba kinuha yan? Itinong source mo. Oh.
well, actually, lahat yan, umaasa lang sila sa control ng kanilang guards sa main so on. Broadcasting, ano pa, DZRH, Monitor DZRH.
Saan
Radio
ba
Inquirer,
DWIC, hindi yan kontrolado.
DWIC, yan, nandun sila. Pipili tayo ng mga pakikinggan natin or pumili tayo ng tingnan natin magkabila para malaman natin na kung anong ito.
Ang pinagtataka ko, ultimo judging for the president. In fact, issue-based ang marching on. Makikinig sa'yo may nakikita ibang tao na ganito. Oh. Tapos sinasabi nung government broadcaster, tayo number one.
Ang mga oligarchs ang nagtulak, battle. Kasi this is one of the most hawkish senators. Pinaka-agresibong senator, siya mismo ang nagsasabi, Navy, ang Chinese military, including the Chinese Navy. It could be importante yan na marinig ng ating mga kapwa Pilipino na meron pa diyang ibang maasa sa Amerikano, naasahan nila magagamit nila ang Amerikano sa away sa China. Huwag na po kayong umasa dyan. Matutulak lang po ninyo ang Pilipinas sa kapahamakan, ganyang attitude. No? And Ma'am Ana, what do you think?
Tama siya. In terms of military might, yet, no? But still, you cannot underestimate the capacity of. I've been at the board. Before that, in terms of military might, when you talk about superpower, militarily speaking, it's just that na ang US, it's the same with Russia. Kasi Russia and US, in terms of China, which is talk about other capability, no? Silang population. May advantage ang China actually. When you talk about combat na talaga armaments, they have the capacity. So for me, the way I analyze it, hindi naman kasi kailangan ang gera eh. Yun ang at the end of the day, countries and people of this world has always to look for avenue to propagate peace and survive sa mundong ito.
Kaya daw na ipadala ng peace, no? Anyway,
multiple independent re-entry vehicle. Kasi mechanisms that's intercontinental IRBM interplace, no? In continental USA will create more. Now, ang US ang MIRV mula yung mag-detach sila ng Russia. Hindi naman tumigil din 100%. Pero ang US, MIRV active defense. That is aggressively pinaka-easy, no? But it does not. As philosophy ng international relations ng China na makialam yung gano'n. China, who was saying, no, pero Hu Jintao had to, teka muna, bago tayo pumunta sa, and Hu Jintao introduced this horseway, this,
natin opinion from mga mahihirap sa Africa. Sama nating Papa Pilipino nating world. Of course, our country first. With that, final comments from Kaado.
Sabi, ang ating presidente, when you talk about relationship with other countries, ang hope ko lang na sana natin sa lahat ng bansa, thus far, China, magandang relation with the US, may mga konting differences na aayos naman at maganda yung relation sa iba't ibang country. Yung sinasabi ko lang, ang relasyon, hindi yan mong ang maganda lang is sa
at humanitarian.
Kaado and Kaana, thank you again. So I will end the program now, and very soon we'll start our early bird prizes again, virgin coconut. Okay, let's take up na. Bye-bye, and have a good week ahead of you.